So what makes this so significant is that at first a T-square would look like a capital letter T if you were to draw it in the sky.
Right.
And it's in what we call the cardinal signs. Cardinals are the action signs, and the specific signs, like the top of the T, would be Aries, which is independent, pioneer a new path, do it my own way. And on the other side of the T would be Libra, which is I must share and play nicely with others. And then the base of the T would be the sign Capricorn, which is structure. And so all of this really started back in the fall of 2008. The planet Pluto, death, destruction,
That's right.
transformation,
Yes.
moved into Capricorn,
Yes.
and we saw bridges in Minnesota fall down.
Right.
We've been seeing boundary issues, whether it's on the Arizona border or in
Yes.
Gaza or that kind of a thing go on.
Yeah.
Infrastructure, tax issues are all the way it's working in the world.
Yeah.
And on an inner level, it's going on in how can I restructure my life so that I can bring more of who I am.
Alignment with, spirit, yeah.
See, in the worldly level, Capricorn is structure and foundations.
Yeah.
But on the esoteric or the spiritual level, Capricorn is about being initiated into a higher order.
Right.
And so there's 30 degrees in each sign, but Pluto's only working in like the first 4 or 5 degrees, so we're just getting tip of the iceberg
That's right.
of this change.
We're just starting.
And the same would go for the planet Saturn has moved into Libra. It was teasing us starting in October of 09 through early April of April. Sorry, I get my dates crazy.
That's okay.
Around Halloween of 2009,
Yeah.
Saturn started peeking its nose into Libra.
Right.
And then in April, it decided it was going to go backwards into Virgo, which means that between April of 2010 and the third week of July 2010, we're all being called to go back and do our own internal garage sale, clear our clutter,
Again.
clean the decks
Yeah.
one more time,
Yeah.
so that after we get to the third week of July 2010 and lasting really until fall of 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar,
Yes.
we're all being called to restructure our relationships. Family, love life, lack of love life, work
Every
relationships,
relationship.
all of them are up. And Saturn says, be patient, go slow, be practical. Well, over on the other side of the T is Aries, which is, I don't want no stinking practicality. I want it, and I want it yesterday.
You're talking to.
Yes. So there's this tug of war between I must be responsible and pay my bills and play nicely with people.
Yeah.
And on the other side says, I'm going to sell everything, go out in the woods and chuck it all. Okay? So that's this pulling apart that people are feeling. It has been building up, as I say, since fall of 2008. But this summer, it's just incredibly, and you see it in the news. If you took a chart of this T-square and you plugged it into the Haiti earthquake,
Yes.
or the Chile earthquake, or the volcano in Iceland,
Yes.
or the Gulf of Mexico, this thing would plug right in there. And
Swallow it.
I tell you, no one would question whether astrology works or not if they really saw this thing working.
Exactly.
And I know many people are running through a lot of fears. You can't hardly turn on the television news without seeing fears all over the place. But I'm here to say that this is about pioneering new paths. New seeds are being planted. And right now, sometimes you have to break up old patterns that don't work before you can bring in the good new stuff.
That's right.
You know.
Well, my opinion is that there's never been a time, I believe in modern time, where people are starting to notice that whatever path they're on, they're knowing it's going to change.
Yes.
They're also starting to realize that there's a dissatisfaction going on in their life.
Yeah.
And they also are starting to understand that they don't know who they are.
Right.
And so the opportunity of this adventure is to go inside and discover more of who you are, and then to co-create and create the life that you were meant to live.
Absolutely.
Or through the intelligence that you have to create. I've talked to a lot of people who are doing things that they don't want to do, and they can't understand why they don't feel good.
Yes, yes.
And so we talk about the possibilities of them exploring what would their joy be, what would make them happy. And you know, I bet you anything that I have never done this before, but with a client like that, that would take that opportunity to look at that and find that thing that they're wanting to do, I bet you it's in their natal chart and it's emphasized.
Yes, and the potential is there. The issue
Yeah.
is are they going to choose to step into it?
Yes.
Because right now everybody's trust issues are up.
Big time.
I see so many people that say, Mark, just tell me what to do and give me a guarantee, and by gosh, I'll do it. And the
And
truth
you said,
is,
I'm not God.
and I do. I say, I can show you the potentials here. You need to be willing to take that leap of faith, because on one end of
Yes.
that T-square is the planet Jupiter, which rules faith and belief systems.
Yes.
And all of our belief systems are being broken up. And normally people like to judge where they're going based upon where they're coming
They
from.
need to know.
But this pattern this summer is teaching us that there's a different way to do it, that sometimes you have to go where you're going without knowing where it is you were going.
That is a biggie.
Yeah,
I've been teaching that myself.
yeah,
I feel like I own that
sure.
because I came in touch with that and realizing the importance of it and teaching other people. But if we could just talk about that for a moment, how crucial that is,
Yes,
right?
yeah. My belief, and people can accept it or not, is that on some core level, we all come in with the software or the wiring within us that
Yes.
knows what our best path is.
Right.
And sometimes we just need to stop and breathe and get out of our own way to let it come out.
Right.
Okay?
And to follow that idea of what would make you happy, what would be your joy, and to
Yeah.
explore those things and get to a state of mind, or let's say living consciously, where you're going more with the flow, you're putting energy
Yeah.
into what you can, and the rest that you don't understand, you know, you let go and let God, because
Yes.
we're in a period of Earth history where change is everything that we're afraid of in our culture is
Yeah.
about change, and yet
Yeah.
everything that's happening in our culture is change.
Yeah.
So if we have this knowing within inside of us,
Yeah.
I think that that's why it can be this great
Yeah.
adventure, because
Yeah.
there are signs, there are
Absolutely.
signatures of synchronicities. I mean, there's wonderful, wonderful things happen when there isn't all this fear that's
Yes.
surrounding our field,
Yes.
our life force.
Absolutely.
And another thing, I think that if we don't get rid of that fear and we don't get into that more self-trust,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot more health issues that are going to be manifesting in people's bodies.
True enough. And I like to use the example of a train in my classes. And what I'll tell people, because people always want to know, well, just what should I do? And I'll do it. I tell them it's kind of like a locomotive train. If you have a train getting moving, it's
Yeah.
easier to switch tracks than trying to move a train from a dead stop. And so I'll have people, let's say like someone who wants to do healing techniques. There's like 20,000 different healing techniques out there. Oh my gosh, which one should I choose to do? I would tell them, just choose one that feels right to you now. Don't worry about whether it's going to end up that way. Just get started, and the universe will redirect you to the right track.
Exactly. You know, there's this concept I heard recently where this gentleman was sharing with me that he sees people who keep walking around in circles.
Yes.
And they build a little trough
Yes.
around the circle until they find one thing that they can
Yeah.
get their attention and their focus on, that takes them out of that, where they are creating, and hopefully there's some
Yeah.
kind of excitement or joy
Yeah.
in that creating, and still God is going to move them
Yeah.
into another space.
Yeah.
I always say God knows more of what we need than we do.
Absolutely.
But God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah.
You know, something my mother taught me when I was
Yeah.
a child. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you do have to put the energy forth.
Yeah. And you don't need to know what it is one
No.
thing. You asked about my path. Well, when I left the corporate world, I used to be an industrial salesman, you know, the guy in the suit,
Really?
the manufacturer's rep. And of course, I was an astrologer part-time on the side, but no one in their right mind is
No,
going to
didn't
leave
know about
to go
that.
be an astrologer.
Yeah.
And I knew that I couldn't do it anymore. I was exhausted. I'd come home from work and I was just a couch potato.
Took your life force.
And it took that away.